If you want to restore your marriage, the changes that you're making and that you're about to make are in vain unless your wife changes. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to start the process of doing just that.
You just got to be coachable.
If you don't already know who I am, my name is Denver Griffin, and I'm a certified life and marriage coach, and I've helped over 5,000 people save their marriages since 2014. What can you do that will change your wife's mind? The first thing that you can do is stop believing the lie that most people believe, including right now, most likely based on statistics, your wife is believing. The lie is that she believes that you are responsible for her unhappiness. You are the one that's the reason that she cannot see a future inside the marriage with you as the husband. And the reason that I say this is a lie is because of the following. The majority of divorces across the entire world are filed by women. This means that men are more often the ones that are blindsided with a divorce that they did not see coming. See, right now your wife believes in order for her to be herself, to find herself, to breathe, to feel like a woman, to actually go be the best version of herself, the only way that she can do that is to get rid of you as her husband. More than likely, neither she or you have read this article. Dr. Betsy Whetstone published this article on Medium, Does Divorce Make People Happier? This article proves that it does not. In this article, Dr. Whetstone breaks it down. Based on data and research that she references in the article, unhappily married people who divorce are no happier 5 years later after the divorce than those who stayed married. Divorce did not reduce depression, raise self-esteem, or improve well-being for a couple. In this article, it was equally mixed with people that were also remarried with a new spouse and living a life there. They still were not any happier. So why does understanding this help you restore your marriage? Right now, your wife is believing a narrative that if she gets a divorce from you, she will be happy, that you're the source of her unhappiness. Oftentimes, a counselor that has confirmation bias against you that they've never even met you. So, Denver, what are you talking about? Has your wife went to a religious counselor or a certified counselor or somebody that's helping her move forward and cope with her emotions and the things that she's challenging right now? And what happens is she's going in there saying, I'm in this marriage, it's a bad marriage, and she's giving them all of the reasons about the marriage that are making her unhappy, that are putting pressure on her, what's keeping her from being the best version of herself. Because from her bird's eye view, that's her perspective of her reality. But you, just like her, are too close to your situation to actually see your situation. So here's what I mean. If any of this sounds like your wife, she probably is dealing with something called cognitive or confirmation bias. And what she'll do is she'll probably go successfully sell a narrative to the counselor that you actually are the reason that her life is not happy. But that's the furthest thing from the truth based on data. But it still doesn't matter because the counselor is a human. And when you go sell bias against a marriage or a person, probably what you're dealing with now is a counselor and or a friend. And it doesn't have to be a certified counselor. It could be your mother-in-law. It could be her best friend from high school. It could be an emotional or a physical affair partner. It could be a pastor. It could be somebody from church. So why is this important? Because if you understand what confirmation bias is, and also if you understand what projected confirmation bias is, this is information, this is wisdom that you can use to actually understand and see your wife better. Denver, what is projected confirmation bias? When your wife goes out to a friend, a family member, a counselor, somebody that she recruits to be against you and or the marriage. She convinces them that you, as the husband, is the reason she can't have the life that her friends or loved ones or people that care about her or even a counselor that would say, yes, you should restore your marriage. Why? Because she's selling a narrative that's based on half-truth. Now, it's her truth, right? And for her truth, it's real. So it is the truth. But what's happening is in order for her to feel good about it, she's got to build an emotional support group of people that are enabling her. What is confirmation bias, you ask again? It is, let's say she goes to a counselor. Let's say she goes to the mother-in-law. Have they ever had a negative experience with a man or a partner in a relationship? Whether it was a father figure, whether it was an ex, whether it was an ex-spouse, whether it was an ex-boyfriend, it doesn't matter. What they always do is what we all do as humans. They relate her negative experiences with you and or the marriage with negative experiences that they had in a relationship with somebody in the past. And then they take their confirmation bias against that relationship, that action, that pain, they project it onto her, and now they're looking at the story she's telling through the eyes of, oh, I can relate to this happened to me, and you need to let that relationship go. Now, is that in your wife's best interest to let the relationship go? Probably not, but what's happening is your wife has sold herself the narrative that she can't be happy with you in this marriage, and she actually believes that. But here's the good thing. You have contributed to the narrative, but you're not the only reason for the narrative. Well, Denver, what do you mean? Remember the article that I referenced earlier. Even Jordan Peterson, I've seen him many times on podcasts with Joe Rogan. He's always talking about it doesn't take two to tango. Only one person could actually change the paradigm of an entire marriage. Denver, how is that possible? Because for both people to be happy in the marriage, that would require both people to start thinking differently. That's the point that I'm saying. You have contributed to the bias that she has against you and or the relationship. So you can contribute to the reconciliation and the undoing of the bias, but you need to understand what is the bias. Now that you understand what the bias is, you can start the process of undoing it. Denver, how do I undo the bias? First, this is what I want you to understand. The bias is coming from a couple of different places. Okay, number one, you probably, within the marriage, the last couple of years, the past couple of months, maybe even the past 15 years, you probably weren't the happiest camper in the world. You have made her feel, probably through your words, responsible for your unhappiness. Denver, I was just unhappy because I saw she was unhappy, and I was unhappy about her unhappiness because I love her and I want her to be happy. But what you were doing was you were putting her in a pressure cooker and making her not only feel responsible for her own life, but feeling responsible for your unhappiness. So there's a way through your language, by hearing her, valuing her, and seeing her, you can start the process of dissolving her confirmation bias, aka the process of changing her. But this is not enough. There's something else that you need to understand. Based on the article that I referenced a few minutes ago about Dr. Becky, we know from that data, and there's a lot more research out there that show the same exact thing, that even after divorce, people are not happier. Why? Because the reason they file a divorce is they think, if I get a divorce, I'm going to be happy. Put in the comments, if your wife gets divorced and she ends up with somebody else or alone, you know that it's not going to actually make her happier. More often than not, it makes the quality of life lower. Denver, why would they do that then? Because they're too close to their situation to see the situation. Just like right now, the reason you don't know what to do to fix this marriage is you're too close to your own situation to see your situation. But guess what? Your wife has probably been trying to fix the marriage for the last 2 years. Has she made comments like, I've been trying to tell you it's too little too late, now it's over. Your time is up. Why? Because she has been trying to fix the marriage her way. You just didn't know how to hear her, and you didn't know how to see her, which caused her to feel like you don't value her. And see, a lot of what you're dealing with is your wife's unhappiness has nothing to do with you. Even after the divorce, based on surveys, she's not going to be happier, but she's believing a narrative that's not true, that the world is selling her, the algorithms on social media is selling, her counselor, your mother-in-law, her best friend, that maybe they've been through this. Misery loves misery. So what happens is you have an unhappy person that they believe, I can get my happy back if I'm no longer with this person. But data shows that's not the case. It is the reason statistically that a second and a third and a fourth marriage are at a higher risk of divorce, because people keep believing this lie that's just never going to be true. Divorce doesn't make you a happy person. What makes you have a happy marriage is figure out how to get yourself fixed within the relationship and to be responsible for your own happiness. Then you are in a position to have a healthy, happy relationship. But here's what the problem is. How many of you have been watching some YouTube videos, especially if you're new to my channel, and you're starting to feel better about yourself, and that's great. But something else that's not great about that is this. If you think that becoming the man of her dreams, so let's say your wife has told you, listen, if all of these things would have lined up the last 2 years, if you would have done this, if you would have done that, if you would have done this, that, and then, we could have had an on-point marriage. I would be happy with you, and I would be happy with the relationship. So you have literally transformed your mind, body, soul, and spirit. You've lost 40 pounds in the last 2 months. You have become more spiritually attractive. You have become more physically attractive. You have become more intellectually attractive, and you have become nicer, and you've become more present. Has that done anything to restore your relationship? Absolutely not. It's why you're watching the video. Why does that not do anything? I'm becoming everything that she wanted. I am like literally the walking version of the perfect husband, but she's still not coming back into the marriage. Confirmation bias, and most likely also projected confirmation bias. But what you're also confirming, if this is you, and stick this in the comments, is that, by the way, in just a second, I got something that we're doing every week now. It's something that's free that you can do that'll help you start the process of turning this around. I'm going to tell you what that is in just a minute. But you you getting yourself in check and on point is actually not fair to the woman that you love. Denver, what do you mean by that? You becoming the best version of yourself is not fair. Denver, why not? I'm becoming a better person. I'm feeling better about myself. I'm more confident. I'm starting to get myself happy. All of that's wonderful. But there is a way to do those things that doesn't leave your unhappy partner behind. If you really love her, by you getting yourself on track and getting yourself happy and not helping her do the same thing, that's not fair, and she'll resent you for that. This is why a lot of ex-wives absolutely passionately hate their ex. And you're like, why does she hate me? She's the one that divorced me. That's not fair. It's because she doesn't understand how did he get happy, and it's not fair. He's off living his best life, and guess what? I'm not. I'm still unhappy. And so she's ticked off about that. But here's the one thing I would agree with her on. It's not fair for you to do this. Why do men do this? Why do they go join some community or they get some type of help, counseling or coaching that tells them if you'll walk in your masculine frame, you'll get in the gym, you'll go start making money, you get yourself in church, you blah, 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 blah. You fix your anger management, and then she'll want you back. No, she won't. She will resent your changes. Why? Because it's not fair for you to figure out how to get your life on track and leave her living in the pit of hell. It's not fair to her, and it's not fair to your family, and it certainly will not restore the marriage. Denver, how do I start the process of helping her? Where do I start? Right here, brother, right? The Bible says the following, so as a man thinketh is he. Right now, you're thinking if you get your life back on track, you become the man of her dreams, that saves the marriage. That makes the marriage worse. Put in the comments if you've been doing that and you see exactly what I'm talking about. So as a man thinketh is he. You're thinking the wrong thoughts. Out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. What you think here affects here, and you speak it. And what you're speaking right now, if you're watching this video, most likely is you're speaking death into the relationship. Denver, how do I start the process of her trusting me? And how do I start the process of not leaving her behind, but helping her find her happy within the relationship and with me? Change how you're thinking, change your heart, and change how you're speaking. In the program, I call it SPICE. You've got to increase in your SPICE, your spiritual, physical, intellectual, character, and emotional attractiveness. Number one right now is spiritual and emotional because they go hand in hand. How do you do that? Your mouth. Right now, your mouth is speaking the wrong thing. Now, for a lot of you, you've been commenting on my channel, and I'm aware of this for the last 2 weeks. Denver, that free communication class that you're doing, I put in the comments 2 weeks ago, and you guys still haven't sent me the link for that. Here's the reason we haven't. We are sending that link to every single person that's commenting. We used to do this training every 3 months. Now we're doing the training weekly, but we're doing it in batches of 100 registrations. So I have not forgot about you. If you want to stick it in the comments again, that training is coming up again this week. We're responding to the comments. So if you're subscribed to the YouTube channel and you also have changed the bell notification. For a lot of you, if you're already subscribed to the channel, whenever we reply to your request to get that registration link in the comments so you can attend this free communication training, a lot of you were responding, but you're not getting notified until after the class because you don't have the bell notification changed in the settings to all. So you need to make sure and put that in the comments that you want the training, but make sure that you have that bell notification set to all so you get notified before the training so you can register. But let me give you some pointers in this video on what you can actually do regarding making some changes right now before that training. One of the requirements is something I talk about in most of my videos. Every interaction with your wife needs to be 3 P's: positive, polite, and playful. 100% you need positive, polite, and playful. She needs to see it on your face. She needs to hear it in your voice, and she needs to hear it in the actual words, right? Well, Denver, why? I don't feel like that. You're right. That's why you're in trouble, because you're communicating and you're acting in the feminine. You're aligning your actions with your feelings. If you want to lead your wife to the best version of herself as you're going to the best version of yourself at the same time, you've got to start aligning your mouth, your fingers when you send text messages, and your actions with your goals. Stop aligning your actions with your feelings. Denver, why? Because that's getting you further to divorce. That's getting you further to her being married to another man. And aligning your actions with your feelings is confirming the bias. And here's why. When a woman has confirmation bias, she is hardwired biologically, meaning we can literally see this on a brain scan, that her brain is not looking at everything you're doing right. It is hardwired to look for the one thing that you're doing wrong. Communication is the beginning of turning this all around and starting step 1 of 14 steps of reconciliation in a marriage, if it's a long-term relationship. Denver, what about no contact? I'm doing that. No contact, if you're a college freshman student, that works. But my ideal client that is watching this channel is not a college freshman with his girlfriend. He's a man that has a business, that has a 401k, that has some rental property, that has a home with a mortgage, probably a few kids, maybe even a grandkid or two, and you have your entire legacy on the line to lose, and you have a need for speed. You can speed up turning the train around, right? Because your marriage won't be restored until you stop the direction that you're going, put that train in reverse, and slowly start going back to reconciliation. But see, right now you're going a place that you don't want to go. Your legacy is ending. This way, you keep going this way, legacy over. Child support's coming. I'm losing time with my kids. I'm losing time with my future grandkids. Lifelong stress. Because if you have kids with somebody when you get a divorce, you're never actually divorced because you have kids with them. You'll have grandkids with them. So the train's going south, right? You can't just all of a sudden snap your fingers and your marriage is fully restored. You got to stop the train, right? And you have to start putting it in reverse. We actually call it divorce stoppers. For a lot of you, you absolutely can do this. But do you know something? My first marriage of over 20 years ended. It was going that way, it was going that way, it was going that way. Guess what? I eventually slowed that train down to the point it stopped and it started going back the other way. But do you know why I didn't go all the way back to the finish line of full reconciliation in that marriage? And I fought for that marriage like a junkyard dog. Do you know why I didn't reach full restoration? I had a need for speed and I was too close to my situation to see when the time was up. And I literally just ran out of time. If that's you and you know that you have a need for speed, put in the comments, Denver, that's where I'm at. After watching this video, I see I have a need for speed. So Denver, what can you help me with to speed this up? We have a free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass that's available. We're doing that 3 times this week. Also this week, we're doing the free text message training for all of the YouTube subscribers. If you know you need that, stick that in the comments. But here's something you can start doing today, okay? And what is look at your text messages between you and your wife. And a lot of people will say, but Denver, we're not really talking about the relationship. The only thing that she'll talk to me about is she'll talk to me about, am I sending the check? She'll talk to me about the kids, but she don't want to talk to me about marriage reconciliation. It doesn't matter. Right now, you and she both believe that you guys have some problems, and if you could overcome your problems, then this marriage is restored. But see, talking about your problems will only get you more problems. Instead, what you've got to do is communicate with her positive, polite, and playful, but that's not enough if she has confirmation bias, which is the text message training that I'm doing every week right now. I go next level with this, and I also cover that in the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass. But I'm going to touch on that right now so you'll have some pointers. Positive, polite, and playful, that's the start. But if she has confirmation bias, you've got to go next level. If you want to start the process of dissolving the confirmation bias, you've got to go with the HVS method that I have trademarked. What does that mean? Heard, valued, and seen. When you start the process of making her feel heard, valued, and seen, this is what turns the train around. Denver, how do I do that? Communication. But that's not enough. It has to be real communication. Denver, how do I make her feel that way with communication? Get to the point, bro. Listen to me. Here's how you do it. Look at the text messages that she's been sending you for the last 3 weeks. And I want you to look at those messages. Is she saying things like, I, and then you're responding out of ignorance because it's how you feel with thank you, or I, myself. Anytime a woman says I verbally, or she says I via text message, she is screaming at the top of her lungs, please, for the love of God, see me, hear me, make just something about me. So I call this the ruby red slipper method. This is how you make a woman feel heard. This is actually how you make anyone feel heard, but you're watching this video because the woman of your dreams, your soulmate, doesn't want to be with you anymore. Denver, why doesn't she? I still don't even know. Put in the comments if you have no idea why. She's blindsided. Put in the comments if you think that right now you're facing separation or divorce just because you had an affair, even though you ended that 2 years ago. That's not really why. See, that's what she might think is why, but what's truthfully there is confirmation bias because she doesn't feel heard, valued, and seen. Somebody that feels heard, valued, and seen with enough new relationship histories of feeling that with you, confirmation bias will dissolve. Now, dissolving confirmation bias is not enough to fully restore a marriage. A lot of you have deep-rooted issues that will need to be dealt with. But if you deal with them right now, it will backfire on you. Right now, talking about those problems because you haven't been professionally trained. Denver, how do you know all this? Right now, I'm in a marriage that almost ended in divorce, and I figured this out in time to save it. My wife moved 2,002 miles apart from me, did not want to talk about reconciliation, and filed a divorce. I know what I'm talking about because I've been professionally trained on this, but I have lived it. I lived it with a version where I ran out of time, and I relived it in a version where I knew that I was going to run out of time, and I figured out that I had a need for speed, and I figured out the psychology behind what just changes me, but also as an action step in alignment with changing my wife. How do I go through all of the 14 steps of reconciliation with somebody that is not trying, where I'm the only one trying? It worked for me, and it's worked for thousands of my students since 2014. Matter of fact, I'll tell you this. If your wife has strong confirmation bias, the communication training I'm doing, it will help you, but it may not be enough. But for some of you, if the confirmation bias is not strong because it's so new, it will be enough. We just had an appointment with somebody that was thinking about becoming a student, a paid student of the Divorce Stoppers program. I'm not soliciting for that. But we had somebody that just applied. They had an appointment 2 days ago. Then this person sent an email saying, I need to cancel my appointment. I went through that training that you did on heard, valued, and seen in the text message communication training, and he said that was enough of a game changer. We have moved back in. The marriage is back on point. If that's you and you're watching the video, which I doubt you are, you're probably at Disney World or making love to your wife. But if that's you, stick that in the comments and say, I'm the one that canceled the appointment, and you're right, Denver. But if there are some deep-rooted issues, if there are some spiritual, emotional, physical pains that you know, childhood trauma, you've done something to hurt her, she's done something to hurt you, and she feels guilty about it. A lot of you, you're dealing with the wife that's guilty and she doesn't even understand it. Probably half of you are dealing with the wife that just flat out got bored in the marriage. The marriage wasn't fun anymore and she thought it was your fault because that you lacked the leadership to make it fun. But guess what? You still have confirmation bias. Denver, how do I deal with confirmation bias? Communication, right? So you need that first. But if you know there's also some deep-rooted issues, I have another free resource for you. And you're going to want to register for this before the seats are taken up. So what I want you to do is pause the video and then come back because I'm saving the best for last. I want you to pause the video right now and go stick in the comments, I have a need for speed, and then go register at denvergriffin.com. In the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper on confirmation bias, what it is, and how you navigate the challenges when you have people that are not for your marriage, such as a counselor, such as a mother-in-law, an old best friend, or maybe the neighbor that's been through 5 divorces and misery loves misery. So maybe that's the support structure for your wife right now, and that is an obstacle in the marriage, and you do absolutely need to understand how to navigate that. Maybe right now you're in the divorce case where the paralegal is sending their normal stuff, but when you get those items, it just makes it look like she's coming after you legally. She has no idea what they're doing. And guess what? Maybe she's blowing things out of proportion. You don't even know why she's losing her shit. But guess what? Your paralegal might be sending her attorney stuff, which looks like you're personally attacking her. If any of this is landing with you, you have a need for speed. Put that in the comments, but also register for the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass. pause the video and get your seat before they're all gone at denvergriffin.com. Do you know most of the people that I attract on YouTube are entrepreneurs, they're business owners, they're certainly somebody that has a lot to lose emotionally, and more often than not, quite a bit to lose financially, which is the legacy of the family. It's not fair to your family that your legacy and your wealth and even your emotional wealth or your spiritual wealth is divided. What's very normal when somebody wants a divorce is they run from Jesus, and the man typically will run to Jesus. And out of ignorance, you will use that as a stumbling block to actually push her further away. If you've been posting on Facebook, if they ever loved me, they would have done this. If they really love the Lord, you've been posting Bible scriptures, they would have done this. All of a sudden, you weren't doing what you should have done in the marriage, but now you're holier than thou, and that might be something that is attractive. It might be something that's a good thing. It might be something that you should have done, but letting her see that, like you really feel like that's going to make her want the marriage or want to come back to you, but instead what it's doing, you feel like that's going to work. That is an action step, my friends, that is not in line with your goals. That action step is in line with your feelings, and it's the opposite of working. You've got to stop putting that in her face because she thinks it's fake, and even if she thought it was real, she'll resent it, and it's pushing her further from it. In the masterclass, I cover this in a little bit more detail. If you're recognizing that in your marriage, stick that in the comments, and if I get enough comments on that, I'll do my next video on it. But let me ask you a question. For a lot of you, you actually have no idea what is she thinking. Denver, it looks like she's living her best life. I'm looking at her Instagram, her YouTube channel, her social media, her Facebook, and it just looks like she looks better, she looks happier, she's going out with friends, she's wearing tighter clothing, she just looks genuinely happy. But Denver, how do you know all this? Because that was my wife whenever she filed the divorce. I truly thought she was happier. I had friends tell me to let her go. How many of you are getting help in a place where the person that's helping you or advising you is not qualified? What do you mean by that, Denver? They've been to school. Have they ever saved one marriage when the wife wants a divorce and the husband doesn't? Have they saved marriages when they both want to work on it? Okay, great. But have they saved one marriage? Have they ever been in your shoes? Whenever I'm talking to my preacher, awesome. Has your preacher ever had his wife file a divorce? She didn't want to talk to him. She was 2,002 miles apart. She was down the street, in-house separation, physical separation, whatever. And he figured out how to save it on his own. If not, listen, this is why I say regularly, God does not always call the qualified. By my training, I'm qualified, but God qualifies the called. I have been qualified because I walked through it. That's how sometimes if you're watching some of my videos, you Denver, how are you in my head? Because I was in your shoes. Whoa, Denver, why are you bringing this up? After my wife and I reconciled, we sat down and wrote down every single day that we were separated what she was thinking, what she was feeling, and we compared it to her social media posts. And we found out quickly that the social media posts were not what was going on behind closed doors. If you would like to know what's going on behind closed doors, watch this video. And if you haven't already registered for the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass or put in the comments that you also want the free text message training, do both before you go to the next video.